Oh, hi, Lydia. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Meredith. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for coming for this interview today. Really looking forward to your experience when it comes to connecting through online peer support groups and other things. So thanks again. So just to give the participants here on Facebook Live and also YouTube a little bit of an understanding of your background, it'd be great to hear about that.
Okay. I can give you the long version, but I think I'll just give you the highlights today. My childhood was very dysfunctional, challenging. My dad was I guess you'd call him a violent alcoholic.
Yeah.
And my mother had anxiety and panic attacks as long as I can remember. When I was 6, she had a nervous breakdown. So it was difficult in a lot of ways. And as the oldest child of 3, I was kind of the one that had to take on all the responsibility. But I also experienced emotional, physical, and sexual abuse as a child. So, from all angles, it was.
That's really, really rough. That's it's tough to get over that.
It was difficult, but you cope, you manage somehow to get through it all. So what happened with me was, as a teenager, I kind of acted out a little bit. And then, I figured out the best way to get away from this was to leave home. So I did that. I got married young and thought that was going to be my answer. And it didn't solve my problems. Clearly, I took them with me. So I guess there was a point in time where I was just looking for something more, and I didn't know what. I wanted out. I wanted something better. And when my mom had her nervous breakdown, I had lived with my grandmother for a while. And part of that was it was a safe place, and I felt comfortable there. And she actually gave me her Bible.
So, very nice. She was a good influence then.
She was a really good influence on me. And so when I was searching for answers, I actually pulled that Bible off the shelf because I still had it and cherished it. And I opened it to a passage that says, "Ask and it'll be given, seek and you'll find, knock and the door will open." And I challenged God. I said, if that's true, I want answers. And I know this is a really unusual story, but there was a group of people that came and knocked on my door the next day.
Oh, wow.
And introduced me to Jesus. They were from the other side of town. They weren't from a local place. They were from the other side. I was in Toronto at the time, and they were from the other side of town. So that was my journey. It had nothing to do with church. I had not known church as a kid. And it was just a new experience for me. So it started me on my faith journey through walking through life, and not knowing that one of the things that happened right away was with all the challenges and difficulties and the abuse as a kid, I had trouble going to sleep at night. I would leave the light on, leave the door open. I just had this constant anxiety and fear. And when I asked Jesus to help me out, I was able to sleep through the night.
Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, it's amazing that this story of yours, that you were able to surmount so much, and then Jesus came into your life, and then you didn't have as much anxiety and were able to sleep.
Yeah,
that takes a toll on a person when they can't sleep and they have that much anxiety.
Yeah. And I knew that the whole thing of anxiety with my mother too, because she had constant panic attacks. So I'm sure that was partially because of the abuse she received as well. So it definitely is something that's in the family. But that was the start of the journey. And my husband and I went through life looking for, where we belonged, what we would do with the, following along. He actually followed me. He saw the change in me, and he made a decision to do the same thing. So
that's really wonderful. That's wonderful to have a partner like that.
Yeah, and it was truly. He will tell you that too. That it was what happened to me, and what he saw in me that made him say, "Hey, if this worked for her, I'm going to do the same thing." So we walked through life together, but I had never really dealt with any of the true deep issues from my childhood. I went on to have 5 kids, four, and then the last one was kind of like a surprise. And
that happens.
But it was partially having her that made me think I need to do something about my childhood. And I happened upon a group that was a 12-step group, and looked for answers there. First of all, answers for the alcoholic father I had and the issues around that, and the abuse followed on that. And if anybody knows anything about 12-step groups, they are definitely peer support. It's all about the group.
I've heard about the 12 steps for sure. I think a lot of people have, but never having that firsthand experience to it. That's great that you sought that out.
Yeah. And the first step in dealing with this kind of thing is admitting that you have a problem. And, like you run away from things. I guess I would have been labeled a workaholic. My kids have told me that. Because one of the ways I got away from dealing with my deep feelings was just to be busy. And, you can do that, whether it's drinking, whether it's drugs, whatever it is that will allow you to escape how you're really feeling, you'll figure it out and do that until you face it, and then say, hey, I need to do something about this. And
I've heard that before, just keeping busy and not really addressing anything or dealing with anything, but it usually comes up in some other life circumstance anyways.
Yeah. And things will trigger it too. I had a situation before I had my last child that triggered it, where somebody else was, some girls were being abused, and it really triggered me to really start thinking about it. Because you don't really. So the peer group was great, because there was one that was specifically for that issue, and then I also got some counseling that helped a lot to figure it all out.
Now this may also, you may have answered this a little bit already, but we do ask how you're doing these days with pandemic funk, and what has helped you.
Well, having been the kind of person who, resolves everything by being busy, I have a business. Well, I went through the financial industry. I worked my way up, did my education at night with 4 kids to get my degree. I did stuff on the side to learn how the benefits of the training to be a project manager, and did that. And I was walked out of a couple of jobs because they eliminated them. But at one point I decided to start a business with my daughter. So I've having a family, having a full-time job, doing all that stuff, busy, right? It still was the busyness. Even though I had dealt with some of these things, I was still busy. So with the pandemic, that busyness stopped, because my business kind of tanked in a way. Servicing the industry, we were servicing the dance industry, and that just didn't happen. So
that would be very difficult to keep up with that. Yeah.
And so the opportunities that have presented themselves now that I'm not as busy are things like being able to go for a walk in the middle of the day that I couldn't do before at this time of year, and having time to connect with people. Zoom calls. Zoom has been my friend.
It's been my friend as well. I don't have any complaints.
Yeah. I knew technology anyway, so technically I wasn't challenged by it. But it was just, it's a way to connect, that you can't see people personally, but you can connect with them. Even as far as connecting with my brother, who's overseas. He lives in Britain, and able to connect with him. And it's better than talking on the phone. It's better than talking on social media, to actually see him face to face and have a conversation. So the other thing that I do is I love dancing and music.
I love dancing as well. So that's my secret.
So I play my music while I'm working, and my business is sewing. So I do that. My mother taught me how to do that, so I do that too. But I'd say that my real passion, my real strong love is for music and dance. So I just have and for connecting people.
That's very healthy, of course. And just after you telling me the story of yours so far, you're really brave too. Like, you've taken a lot of risks and been out there and connected with people and been so honest. A lot of people couldn't go and do that, couldn't be that honest about their lives and everything that they've had to deal with.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things they teach you as a first step through going through a 12-step program is you have to be open, honest, with not only with yourself but with other people, and share with another person that you trust. I think being open is a lot about feeling safe and feeling that it's okay to talk about stuff, and that the other people are not going to judge you, and because that happens, especially when you're in a really bad family situation, that there's judgment that's put on you.
Oh yeah, yeah. You need to have that safe place to talk, and it's so healthy for people to get over the issues that they've been facing, like yours, and to not talk about it is probably the worst thing you could do.
Oh yeah, because it eats away at you, and you realize that the things running around in your mind, and you don't actually face up to it. So when you talk about it, another thing that you can do is write about it, write a journal. It gets it out of your head and makes it real, that you can then deal with it. As long as it's in your head and you're keeping it a secret, it never really gets dealt with. That's my experience, and I would recommend it for anybody who's got deep problems that they haven't dealt with before, that you find a place that's safe to talk about it.
Yeah. We have a couple groups at the church. Which ones are you a part of that deal with these issues?
Well, I've joined groups for different reasons. So I really have joined. I've been part of a small group for a couple of years that meets at 6 a.m. on Thursdays. Amazing group of ladies, and it's very, very safe, and we share a lot there. And I've recently been leading a Zoom church after the 11 o'clock service on Sundays, and that's really great because people really get the opportunity to talk more about the service and what's being shared there, and talk a little bit about their lives and share with each other. And these days, the way things are with the pandemic, people are feeling isolated, and being able to just even for 30 to 40 minutes to just talk to a group of people is really good. I'm also part of what we've called our movie group, where we watch a movie and then we talk about it, and that's always fun.
It's a great group. I like that.
Yeah, because it's great fun to really dig into what you're watching and how it affects your life, and just enjoy it, right? And then the recent group that just started is the peer support group for sexual abuse, and that's right with my heart on what is really, really from my background, and what I've dealt with and how I've dealt with it, and just feeling that it's safe, and feeling that other people are there that are dealing with the same thing is so helpful.
Yeah, it's interesting that there's 12 steps as well for that type of group. And so we have been touching upon, because I'm co-leading it with you, and we've been touching upon different subject areas like afraid of authority, all the other ones, the shame, the guilt, and we've been touching upon them in the stories that we all have, and that's interesting, isn't it?
Oh yeah, because you don't realize it until you read a list of these are the symptoms that you might be experiencing if you've gone through this, and you read it and you go, oh, that sounds like me. Oh, that sounds like me. And then you go through the list and you go, oh my goodness, I definitely have this problem and I didn't even realize it. And so it's kind of an open door to really start talking about those issues in your life. And and there's always new stuff. I've done this before, but there's always something else that comes up that is new that you haven't actually looked at, and it gives you the opportunity to do that too. So
yeah, it's very in depth understanding of what triggers you, what really has affected you in your life, and what you need to really kind of focus on going forward. What would be more healing?
Yeah, and healing is what you're after. Like we want to be able to walk this life in a positive way and not be, dealing with those things. The other thing that can happen if you've not dealt with abuse and different issues in your background is you've got depression, or you feel like you're no good, and you can't ever be a great person, that you can't do anything positive. It's that one of the common things I had was blaming myself for everything. I think part of that came from the fact that as the eldest, my mother kind of leaned on me because she had the anxiety and the panic attacks, and so I didn't feel like I was doing the best job helping her. And then somebody in my 12-step walk through this whole process said, "How old were you when this happened?" And I said, "Well, I was 7." And here I was as a 7-year-old feeling like I wasn't doing a good job of helping my mother. And she reminded me that that's not a child's job.
No, it isn't. You put a lot on your shoulders there.
Yeah. So, like children shouldn't be in that responsible position. They should be able to be kids, and let them just live their life as children. And unfortunately, when you're in an abusive situation, that's not the way you feel. So, you don't get the opportunity to just be a child. Yeah, so I had to do that as an adult. The other thing that happened was when I was dealing with the 12 steps, because one of the things they do encourage you to do is find a sponsor. So the sponsor is sort of a one-on-one person you can talk to in depth. The group is great because you talk about stuff, but when you talk to one person, you can really lay it all out for them. And when I said my passion is dance, one of the things that she told me to do when I talked to her about that, she said, "You need to get out there and dance in front of a group of people." And really, so I said, "Really? You think I should do that?" So the meeting allowed us to tell our story, and then we could, play music or something. And there was a group of people that had instruments and did that. And so I got up, told my story, and then I put a piece of music on and actually danced in front of the group.
Great. That's absolutely super that you did that. And I bet it was a great way of expressing everything, right?
Oh, it was. It was just so beautiful to be able to express how I was feeling in that way. And it was freeing. And she just recognized that. She'd been through similar issues, so she just recognized that as a way that would help me get beyond feeling the way I was. And now I kind of use that when I listen to music. I can't sit still. Especially if it's a really, really deep piece of music that makes me think about God. I have to get up and start moving. So
wonderful. Thank you very much, Lydia, for all this, all this candid talk with us, and your bravery, and just what you've learned and what you're sharing now with others. We really appreciate that. What we've also done, of course, is picked out a scripture that you picked it out, and I'll read it for you. It's 2 Corinthians 1, 3-4. And it's all praise to the God and Father of our Master, Jesus the Messiah, Father of all mercy, God of all healing counsel. He comes alongside us when we go through hard times so that we can be there for that person, just as God was there for us. So how does this resonate with you? I know you picked it out, so if you could share that.
Yeah, because this really does speak to the whole idea of having a group or people that you can share with and help out. Because what it's really speaking about is that I'm asking God for help in my life, and that's what I did. I asked God to help me, and I had other people that came alongside me to help me walk through my problems. So then I can now go and be alongside those people and help them walk through their problems. So it really speaks to my passion for that whole thing. And it's a scripture that I just hang on to, because it really says, you know, he did it for me and others helped me, and now I want to go help them and reach out.
Yeah, that definitely speaks to what motivates you, what I understand anyways, from working with you a little bit more. We're getting more and more acquainted, and I'm seeing that part of you that really does want to reach out with such a big heart. So thank you, Lydia.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. So go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's fine.
Okay, so we're just going to go into a prayer now and just wrap up. If there was anything else you wanted to say, go ahead.
Only that I think maybe we just highlight on the fact that we do have this peer group for sexual abuse survivors or those dealing with it right now. Meets very, very confidentially on Wednesdays, and we were going to have an open session tomorrow evening for those who might be interested in hearing a little bit more about it, and you know, before they decide to join the group. So it's open to anybody who wants to just find out a little bit more about how this group is going to run. So I just wanted to mention that, because that is my passion. So
yes, good. I'm glad you mentioned it. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a prayer now to close off.
Yeah.
Dear God, thanks for Lydia's great advice. We all need to connect with others to be mentally well. Please keep those safe that are experiencing difficulties with this isolation and dealing with the unknowns and also their past, the things that might be churning up right now. So God, please be with Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Meredith. And you know, I just want to say to those people that are thinking, hey, I feel alone, I don't know who to talk to, I don't know where to go, that this week you should talk to somebody, that you know, just reach out, join a Zoom church, join a group that deals with whatever you're dealing with, and talk to people, because it will make a difference. God uses people. That would be it.
Yes, he does use people. Thank you.
So before anybody goes anywhere, thank you both so much for this. Lydia, would you mind, like, how do people find out? How do people get connected to Wednesday night's information session?
Okay, there was some information in Jamie's link with our emails, both mine and Meredith's, and there's also a link there to the information session that's being held tomorrow night. But if they send us a message, then we will send a private invite to the Wednesday meeting, because it is confidential.
Okay, and just wanted to capture your email address, just so that if it's okay with you, we can put it in the chat. I just want to make sure people know to be able to get a hold of both of you. So if it's okay with you, I am just going to do a very quick copy and paste, and I'm going to put it here in the chat. And there you go. People will be able to make sense out of it, and by doing it this way, it's going to be a little more difficult for the computer bots to figure out what the email addresses are. So, so there you go. Thanks to you both. Everybody else online, hope you have a great rest of the day. Meredith, thanks for facilitating. Lydia, thank you for your story. Looking forward to hearing all about what is ahead. Take care.
Me too. Have a good day. Bye.